Hi. We did it. Amazing. We'll just have some brief introductions now, and then we'll say a bit more later. My name is James Baraz, and I lead a lot of retreats here for many years, but this is one of the most exciting retreats I've ever been a part of. I'm so happy that you're all here, and honored to be able for us to be able to support you in the work that you do. My heart is just very full right now. I know there were thank yous that were given before by Anne. I would be remiss if I didn't thank the team. We spent a lot of good, creative, and joyful work for the most part, helping create this. And huge shout out to Anne Royce, who just was at the mic, and Alicia Morton, and Christy Adams, the staff. You couldn't imagine all the moving parts in this, and they have just done a beautiful, beautiful job. And also our team, Carol, Cano, and Kirsten, Rudestam. It's just been a real rewarding, fulfilling time creating this together. So we really hope that you find it supportive and helpful in your work and connecting together for these days and then beyond. And I'll say a bit more later, but maybe I'll just stop there.
Well, I'll echo the gratitude and appreciation. Amazing that we're all in this room together. What a journey. I'm Kirsten. The pronouns I use are she and her, and I come most recently from White Salmon, Washington, where I live, the ancestral lands of many beings, Yakima, Wasco, Wishram, Warm Springs, peoples, and black bear, and salmon, and cougar, and bobcat, and many, many others. Yeah, and I'll just say, so much. My life has really been dedicated to this earth and all their beings, and the Dharma came in for me a little bit after my love affair with the earth, and now there's a way that it's the same thing, this love for the Dharma, love for this just incredible world that we inhabit. And so what an honor to be part of a conference like this, in a place like this, with all of these beings, all of you, and all of the other beings supporting us. Yeah, so thank you.
Welcome, everyone. Greetings. I'm Carol Cano. I go by she, her. And my family, my ancestral lineage is Basque, Spanish, Nomanu, known as Comanche, and other, undiscovered ancestors that I'm still putting the pieces together. A lot was lost. I come from the unceded territory of Ramaytush Ohlone, which is known as San Francisco, as a guest. And it's a real honor and privilege to be here. The founder and executive director of Braided Wisdom, which is a cross-cultural mindfulness organization. It's a BIPOC-led organization that is Indigenous-centered during these times that we're in right now. And I feel that the work has been really important to bring the voices of Indigenous wisdom, which is also centering the relational component with our beloved Mother Earth, the land and all beings seen and unseen. And just acknowledging, the generations who've come before us and those who have not yet arrived. And just holding the tenderness of this moment that we're in on Turtle Island, known as the good old US of A. And just really feeling really the reciprocity that is here to really enrich ourselves in this diverse community. Look around the room. Many of you know each other. Many of you have not met. There's some important strangers here who will become your spiritual allies and companion. It's going to be really wonderful to come together. So I guess I'll just leave it at that. Just really wanting to bring in a little bit of the tenderness and the excitement and the richness and the heartfulness that's present, seen and unseen. I look forward to getting to know all of you, if that's possible. Thank you for being here. And have the great honor to introduce Dean Hoaglin, who is comes from the descendant of the Tamako coastal Miwok, which I told him he's going to have to go over his own ancestral lineage. I don't want to butcher any of your ancestral names, Dean. And he's been with us. He holds the traditional ways that was carried on from his family lineage and cultural preservation of his heritage and the land that we are on right now. Pass this to you, Dean. Thank you for being here.
Oh, Kamulish, Sister Carol. Opantoas, Aniko. So say hello, relatives. How are you? I hope you are well. And I'm humbled, always humbled that I would be invited to share space with some amazing human beings. And since arriving here earlier, I've already received blessings. And I don't take that for granted. Just again, when we encounter one another, how we affirm one another, and just with a greeting, that's a blessing. And so I have gratitude for that. And so on behalf of my ancestors, I want to welcome you, to our homelands here, our ancestral homelands here. There was a relative I just met earlier. He made me some good coffee too. So I want to shout out, I guess you say, to him. And he's from San Geronimo. And I mentioned to him that, San Geronimo is known as Satako. Satako is the name of this place. And it refers to the relatives, the plant relatives, the oaks. My family, we come from right over the hill. It's known as Nicasio, but it's our village of Ekatamal, the land of my great-grandmother. And so I'm still feeling vibrations and just the blessings of a ceremony of a gathering we had yesterday to honor my great-grandmother's legacy. And so it's a good day. It's a good day to be indigenous. It's a good day to be human, and a good day to, offer again words of, encouragement. I hope, and I'm always mindful too. As an indigenous person, I'm always mindful that, we have as an indigenous man, I have a certain role and responsibility. And that's when we talk about being accountable, how I how I'm in relation with, all of creation, and I know my grandmas are watching me. And I learned well, We come from a matriarchal society. You know, our women, our grandmas were the ones that guided us and gave us that, what some people call, you know, I guess a teaching or a quality even. It's called nurturing, you know, where a lot of our, you know, men from our community, is something that they don't or haven't learned, or they're fearful of it, of, again, being vulnerable. So, like I always say, you know, I'm a man, but I'm also part woman. I come from a woman. I come from that beautiful, nurturing spirit of my mother. And so I just want to share that. And also I was reminded of when Sister Kirsten was talking about those relatives, you know, in creation, you know, and I was reminded about that yesterday. My ancestors, we were in relation with all of creation. And this area was known as bear country. There was actually grizzly bears here, believe it or not. And I guess some people acknowledge us as bear people. That was a part of our medicine, because we understood our bear relative and what the bear shows us, what the bear teaches us. I always want to acknowledge again all our relatives, you know, as still, you know, are part of our environment, and how they can teach us too, you know, a lot about how we are in relation to our human relatives. And so, what does it mean to be human? What does that really mean? Because it kind of, for me, it's really connected to what a lot of indigenous people tell us about what we strive for, is how to be a good relative, right? I'm already working on that still, but right now at this point in my life, because I'm an elder or self-described welder, that I want to be a good ancestor. I want people to know that I did everything for the benefit of all of my relatives and all taking care of this earth. And I take that to heart, because we are the original caretakers of this land. You know, and that's a big responsibility. So we're still learning how to do that, you know, because of our, again, human experience, we lost the understanding of those ways of how to care for. But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful because I see our young people that are stepping into these spaces of knowing, of learning, of creating. Because our way was always about to live in abundance, to live in abundance. And what do we need for that? We need respect. We need respect. And we need, of course, not to stay in our minds, but to have that mindset or that understanding, to change the whole fear-based mindset into love-based. That's where we can create medicine, or our medicine ways. And so I won't go too much more into that, because I got to save some for Wednesday. But it's been already, like I said, a pleasure. Um, you know, um, with relatives when I encounter them, and I'm a reflection of my ancestors. At least I try to be the best reflection, right? And that was modeled for me, and it started with my grandmother. I never understood why my grandmother, because I was raised by her, why all the different peoples, all different colors of people came to my grandmother's home. And I didn't understand it until later on, because there's one thing she taught me and she modeled for me. No matter who the people are, if you can help someone, if you can offer them something that will help them, they call that generosity, right? That's what you do, because it's a blessing, because in giving we receive. So I learned that. And so at times, again, in this modern world, I guess that's our challenge, is to, again, give freely, let go of that material thing that a lot of time seems to alter our path when we're seeking what? Freedom. So again, it's 2025 and we're still here. And looking forward, there's a lot of challenges in our world. But again, staying on this path of what I call the good life path, or the path of righteousness. I don't know about anyone else, but that's where I want to be. And I'm accountable. And this is just the physical life that I'm living right now. I'm just preparing to make that transformation into spirit so I can celebrate with my ancestors. So I think I'm on a pretty good track. And so think about, last thing is, think about again, what do you want to create? What do you want to offer? What do you want to share that is not going to just lift you, inspire you, but it's going to encourage and support the growth of your relatives, that they can receive those blessings too, right? I'm still learning. And but because I've learned from a lot of my traditional people and spiritual elders, I know what I didn't know before, and so I am accountable. And I'll continue to honor the legacy of truth, how our people, in spite of the things they went through, that they believed in their faith. They had faith that they'll come out of it, right? Again, that their children and their future generations will live in a beautiful world. So that I think that's why you're all here, to be a part of that. And we all are. We're a small part of it, but I love that membership. I'll take it every day. So again, Wali Toish in our language, in our Miwok language, it means thank you very much. And I know people know us as Coast Miwok, but we're known as Hukuiku. That's our names. And all of our places that we come from, I mentioned my grandmother's village right over the hill, Ekatamal. What that means is it has a certain meaning, the place behind the mountain. And most indigenous people, their names speak to the place from where they come from. So thank you, relatives, for allowing me to express myself. And once again, welcome to our beautiful lands here. Oh,
Dean, thank you for those blessings. It's coming from Kirsten over here. And I just want to briefly introduce Ayya Santacitta, who will be leading us in more blessings as a lineage holder in the Theravadan Thai forest tradition, which is a foundation upon which the Buddha Dharma in the West has really flourished.
So I'm going to share a chant with you. This is about inviting all the benevolent forces of the universe to come to this place and bear witness of this gathering and everything what's going to happen over these next 4 days. And it's in the Pali language, the language in which the Theravada teaching has been written down about 600 years or so, 500 years after it was passed down orally, and it comes to us from Iron Age India, and it's still alive and practiced today. Paritawana metang sameta badanta avikita chitta paritang banantu samantra chakravalesu adragachantu devata Sadamang munirachasa sunantu sakamokatang sage kame charupe girisikaratate chantalike vimane Diperate chakame daruvana gahane gehavatumi kete Bumma chayantu deva chalatala visame yakaganta panaka Didanta santikeyang munivaravachanang sadavo me sunantu Buddha dasana kalo ayang badanta Dhamma savana kalo ayang badanta Sangha parirupa sanakalo ayang badanta.
Thank you, Ayya. Thank you, Dean. So, as I was saying a little while ago, that this is a really unique gathering here. How many are here to Spirit Rock for the first time? And how many are relatively new to meditation? Curious. I'm so glad you're here. We get to introduce you to the practice. So although the primary wisdom teachings here at Spirit Rock are Buddhist, and both the philosophy and the practices this gathering is one of bringing lots of different wisdom teachings from different sources, indigenous teachings, next generation teachings, wisdom, diverse voices from many different sources, deep ecology teachings, science, and we're going to get to share and learn from each other and with each other. And we're going to be sharing in the context of practicing together, at least in the morning, doing our style of practice that most people experience when they come to Spirit Rock to do a retreat. And we hope that the practices that we practice and share together will support you in whatever work you're doing and support your own wisdom teachings as well. Both here in our time here together as we go through this journey together, and even more when you go home into your life and what you do in the world. I was thinking about it, just thinking, what a really special time. Everybody here is here because you've been invited, because we all share a deep care and commitment and love for this planet and for life. And just when I think about it, the collective love and the collective care and the hours and years and decades of caring in this room, it's quite wonderful. And we're all here because we care for the earth, particularly at this time when there's so much on the line, and can really be easy for the heart to hurt with sadness or despair and deep concern for what humanity has led to this point in our unawareness that has been so unhealthy and harmful for the planet. So there is that sadness and that sorrow, but underneath that, as one wonderful Buddhist teacher, Pema Chodron, says, there's a soft spot that underneath all that care is a lot of love. And when I think of all the love that's in this room, besides all the whatever sorrow or sadness we bring, that's what we're trying to really access and connect with as a community. Just to know that when we are aligned in that care, something magical can happen. There's a real power of collective consciousness that can happen. And it is our hope, our vision, that as we align and really go through these days together in that spirit of goodwill and know that we're all here to support each other in our work, there's a kind of magic that can happen where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. I know that we all are here to support that kind of creation of this field of goodwill. Whatever we go through, all the, we're going to be on a journey together. and all of the different places that we go to, if we can remember we're all here because we have that in common and experience it here, and then as we go out to bring it with us and have the vision that not only will this be a wonderful time together, but rather than it being a one-off kind of a thing, that we can stay in touch and stay connected and stay supporting each other beyond our time here together. So with that deep wish, I wish us all the best and coming from the goodness of our heart.
Goodness. Gosh. When I think of the title Refuge and Response, I mean, it'd be interesting just to think of what comes to mind in this moment. And, when we think of reciprocity, we don't exclude ourselves. And for many of us, with the work that we're drawn to, this work that you all have in common together that brings us here, this commonality of really addressing the poly crisis that's present. How do we, many of us have excluded ourselves and have burned out or burned candles on both ends. I just wanted to acknowledge that. And so that place of refuge is coming in. It's this, when we were crafting this together, we were really centered this respite for you, this time to settle on the land, to slow down. What Spirit Rock does so well is the moment you come up and you cross the gate to come up this hill, and you can read the signs for retreatants only. It's basically silent zone. You'll notice that the animals don't run from you. They're so used to there's no reactivity here because we're really turning, as the Buddha's teaching, turning towards ourselves. And the indigenous teaching that's similar, both are very much rich in earth-based awareness and practices. And it's really turning towards ourselves in a way that's inclusive, in a way that's not separate from another, that's not separate from any seen or unseen, all my relations. And just like you just feel the expansiveness of that. All my relations, seen and unseen, including myself, in a selfful way, not selfish. And it's one that's the invitation that when we were coming together, really there's a respite, touching into the land. There's so many beautiful trails around. And really practicing, that's what we do well here, is practicing being with the sweet territory of silence, which is very familiar for indigenous people. Because in ceremonies, we know long silence and being with ourselves and all our relations and opening up in a way that our heart expands to include every and all experiences and not turning away. So you may feel some tenderness arising. You may feel some tiredness arising. You may feel an expansion that you're not familiar with that's happening. You may be called to attend to yourself in a way that you haven't. You may be listening or sitting close to a tree that's in the woods up here and just taking in the breath of reciprocity, sharing that one breath with another, the tree relatives and all the relatives seen and unseen. So in speaking to the indigenous technology that's present, but I also weave in the Buddha Dharma or the mindfulness that we invite in the morning to silence our mind. But once you start to settle, just want to give you a little bit of a warning sign. might slow way down and feel your body tired. And it may take some time to arrive. So meet yourself with gentleness and kindness, and just get the rest that you need, and just show up. We're just asking to show up, to engage. And so the indigenous aspect is there's not exclusion in any sense of that. So we're taking a self-retreat and a collective retreat at the same time. There is the experience of the internal and the external. And there's an expansion that is occurring internally and externally. And it's widening out, just like you imagine in the forest. If you go imagine in the mind's eye, the deep roots of a redwood going all the way down and just expanding out. Never alone. Always in communication with other redwoods. I just recently was with the avenues of the giant ones up north. Wow, over 2,000 years old. I felt so small, but yet I felt the presence of oneness, of this reciprocity and great gratitude of this shared experience called our life. And so I'm inviting you to, just to come in and just really feeling the richness of what the land offers. And and recognizing that in your earth body, there is an internal landscape and a terrain, a full terrain that's happening here that's no different than Mother Earth herself. So the care starts with ourselves first. Then maybe, just maybe, we can care for another. Maybe, just maybe, we can start caring for the earth, or caring for a community that's not even ours, or even caring for a community of those who do not even have the same understanding or political affiliation. The well-wishing of the commonality of this, kinship that was expressed by Dean. So I think I'm just going to end there and pass it to Kirsten. Thank you.
Some of the words I was going to share were really similar, those themes of belonging and reciprocity and gratitude and generosity. But I loved what Dean asked, that question, like, what is it to be human? And in many ways, I consider this practice, the Buddha Dharma, these teachings, the kind of real invitation to keep coming back to what's happening now with that loving, kind, embracing attention that Carol spoke to. That's where we start to learn more and more what it is to be human. And that's where we really can know and sense and remember from the inside our deep interconnectedness, the ways in which we're so embedded within this greater landscape of life. And those are wisdom teachings from, many, many traditions. And we have this opportunity here to slow down and rest and listen and really ask that question, what is it to be human? And there can be these times where we might sense in being with the breath, being with the tree, being with the land, that like, oh, this earth body is no different than, this larger earth body, like really no different. Or, where does, where does Kirsten end and other begin when the breath that is breathed is, from all these photosynthesizing plants and the water I drink, most that encompasses most of this being, this water vessel. And by the time we leave, we'll probably be primarily the aquifer beneath us right now. All our water cells will be plumped up. And I think about Thich Nhat Hanh had this term interbeing to really capture that sense of our weaving of ourselves with other and what we think of as other. And he would use the simile of like a piece of paper, the clouds in the piece of paper, and how, this paper is a product of the rain coming from the clouds that water the trees, and the loggers' ancestors are also in this piece of paper, that it's all embedded, and this real deep sense of belonging that can be known, that can be really felt from the inside in both kind of settling and remembering who we are, and also being in community with each other and with the land and all of the ways in which the land speaks to us and teaches us those lessons of remembering. And I think that it's also so crucially important because the roots of the poly crisis, I believe, are really they originate in this illusion of separation, and all the systems that tell us that we're not enough, and there's feeds on these ideas of scarcity and lack, and that's so much the origin story of so much that, so much of the suffering, so much of the violence, so much of the inequity and discrimination and injustice that we see today. And so the work of coming back to our own belonging, remembering our own belonging here, and that the work that we actually do, maybe it is earth-based activism or some other form of being engaged in love and defending and honoring life, that we're not separate. We're not defending, protecting, loving the other. That, like Carol said, we're loving, defending, protecting, honoring, blessing our own selves in that practice, in that work, in those endeavors. So, I just feel so grateful to be in the weaving with you all and the remembering with you all and the practice of that.
All right, now we're going to do breakouts of 4 to 5. You don't have to go far. I know many of you are probably tired. We're going to just energetically get some energy up a little. And we're going to just move your cushion, turn around towards 4 to 5 people. I'll give you instructions in a minute. Let's do this in silence so we can I can give the prompt. And the prompt is, what brings you here? And what is the one aspiration you would like for this week? Now make your way back to your seat. Thank you.
So we wanted to take a few minutes at this point to honor someone who's been a big inspiration to many of us, certainly me, and I think many people as well. And that's Joanna Macy, who passed away in July, and who was a key benefactor for so many in really developing their love for the planet and to work with love and care and deep commitment for the health of this planet and all living beings. She was on many climate days here at Spirit Rock. We've had quite a few climate days and earth days and over the years, and Joanna would come to many of them, and it was so interesting. At the beginning of the climate day, one of those days or earth days, people would come in kind of like concerned and feeling, okay, I guess I really need to do what I can to get going on this. And by the end of the day, and she would have us do different exercises and interactive stuff, and we'd have singing and all, and people would just leave really happy on a high note. That's what I kind of have in my mind. I don't know. I hope you're in a good mood to begin with now, but by the end of our time together, I think you'll also feel that power of connection, and that Joanna just with her infectious energy and love and inspiration could evoke in so many. So we wanted to take a few minutes to honor her, and she's going to be very much a presence in the backdrop of our time together, and wanted to invite one person particularly who is kind of like an heir of all of her beautiful work and the work that reconnects, to say a few words, and that's Constance Washburn. So why don't you just share a little bit of your thoughts, and then we have a special little treat in honoring Joanna.
Thank you, the Coast Miwok people, for attending this land for thousands of years. And thank you to Spirit Rock for having you guys here. And Joanna told me to say this, really. I asked, it's about time. That she's been wanting to have the dream of the Dharma and the environment brought together. And that's what I want to celebrate of her. I'm going to get teary. Her incredible creativity and passion that wove together what I call a basket, the work that reconnects and reconnecting us, bringing in the Buddha Dharma, bringing in systems theory and physics, indigenous wisdom, shamanic practices, art, music, dance, theater. That was one of my things. And that she wove it together in a basket that invited us all to bring our full selves, to bring our creativity, to bring our own magic into our work in the world. And my first workshop with her was in 1994, and it was in the Headlands Institute, and the wind was blowing. The waves are crashing. And this wild woman corralled us all through gratitude and falling in love with the earth. And oh my goodness, and our hearts breaking open, and then diving us into despair and grief and tears and living it all. And then coming through that into seeing, oh, we're all interconnected. We're all one thing. And as she would say, I'm going to try to get this right. The radical interdependence of all phenomena. And then, oh, what is your gift to bring? What's breaking your heart? What's calling you? And go do that. And so leaving with that sense of, I can make a difference. I can do something of value in this world. And that was a huge gift. So you felt like when you left, you had a mission. And mine, when I left that first workshop, was like, punk, you were doing the work that reconnects for the rest of your life. So here I am. And I was part of starting the Work that Reconnects network, and we're holding the work and helping take it out around the world. I do a facilitator training program called Spiral Journey, taking the work out. I weave it into all sorts of ways. So may the blessing of Joanna be on this group, and may all of us come out with that deep, deep love and deep connection to the earth and to each other, and find that spark that's yours to give, that's yours to bring, and just go for it. Yay.
Thank you. Yeah, and Joanna was kind of like that too, very animated and passionate, and you just came up saying, "Oh my God, okay, I'm in it." And she also had an amazing way of empowering people, just seeing what you could do. I first met Joanna in the 1980s, early 80s, and she moved from Washington, D.C. to here, and I had heard about her, and we connected. And there's a movement in Sri Lanka, Sarvodaya, the Awakening of All, A.T. Aryaratna. And when my wife and I went to Sri Lanka, and I was really inspired by that work, and he was the one who said, "Oh, you should meet Joanna Macy." I'd never heard of her before, and I kept on wondering, "Oh yeah, I've got to meet that woman, Joanna Macy." And then when she came here to the Bay Area, I said, "Hi, I'm supposed to meet you," and then she got us to work. She said, "Okay, we're going to have a Shramadana," which is like you get people together, and just by doing things together, you feel the power of generosity in working together and live the Buddhist teachings and doing well together. So she said, "We're going to do a Shramadana, and we'll go." I remember we went to Ohlone Park, and we would plant some plants and clean up the place, and we did a few of those. It was like, oh, this is really fun, and we're doing something good. And then at some point she said, "You should be on the board of the Buddhist Peace Fellowship." I said, that had never occurred to me before. I said, okay. She told me what I'm supposed to do, so there it was. What's that? She had a way of doing that. You should do this. And it was like you got your orders from the heavens. Okay, got my orders. And she did it with so much authority and love. It was like there was no way you could say no. Anyway, she, as Constance was saying, she used the Buddhist teachings. One of the basic principles in the Buddhist teachings is to open up to suffering, not be afraid of it, to turn towards it and transform it into compassion and compassionate action. And that has been the heart of her work, as we'll see. And tomorrow, Kirsten's going to be sharing a framework, really, for our time here together, that we're transforming our sorrow and we're suffering into compassion, learning how to metabolize it, and then expressing our caring in beautiful ways. So I've said enough. What I want to do is now have us see a little clip of Joanna. She passed away in July. I was fortunate enough, I had visited her a number of times before in the half a year and a year before she passed away. She lived in Berkeley, where I live. And every now and she had people saying, "Oh, I'd like to visit Joanna," So I spent an afternoon in March, and I knew we were going to be doing this whole project over the course of several years, and I asked if she would give a blessing on this project, and I was so fortunate. I said, "Will you be willing to speak into my phone and record something?" And this is what she came out with, completely spontaneous. And I've listened to this many times, and every time there she is, just really touching my heart. And the pictures that you see of Joanna are there's a few pictures with somebody named Jess Sarante in it, who's not able to be here tonight. She's in Europe, and she and Joanna put together this wonderful 10-episode podcast called "We Are the Great Turning." So that's the young person that you see in some of these pictures, and then there are other pictures as well. It's about 2.5 minutes, so just want to share Joanna with you. I'm with my friend and inspiration, Joanna Macy, who's touched so many, and so glad that you could say a few words and perhaps give your blessing on our work here together as we celebrate Earth Day.
Wow. It sounds like from what you say that you're celebrating being alive on Earth at this time. Well, you couldn't have mentioned something that I were more ready to kick my heels and toss my hat. Yeah. It's incredible to be alive now in this time, I feel. We all know what kind of fumes and stupidities are wafting around this earth coming from our species, our wonderfully smart, two-legged species, doing some dumb things. But even so, with all that, I'm so glad to be alive now. It's true that we're alive, and we're alive on a living planet. And she's beautiful. There's nothing we can do to stop the brilliance of her creativity. So what a wonderful time to link arms with each other. This isn't time just to see to ourselves and get ahead or run faster than anybody else or spend more than anybody else or heap together more votes than anybody else, but to be here with each other, for each other, with life on Earth, because we have a mind and a heart just keyed to be able to feel what it's like to listen to our Earth and all our beings, and to know that we're part of it and that we're here to do something fantastic in a time of great need. Welcome.
Quite a force. That was, she passed away at 96. That was just so clear, straight from the heart. What a wonderful time to be alive. What a wonderful way to conceive of our place and our work here. Linking arms in a time of great need. So thank you, Joanna. We'll do some mindful meditation now. I know it's the end of a very long day, so this is not going to be a long meditation. But just to let all the words that we've offered settle, and to reconnect with yourself. And in the morning we'll be giving further instructions and going into more detail. But for now, just invite you to let yourself connect first with the earth that's supporting you. That we're all here because of our love for this earth. Feel its support, feel it grounding and holding you. If it feels right, you might just let your eyes close gently, or you can have them softly gaze downward if it helps to have your eyes open, if that feels better. And turn your awareness inward. Take a few deeper breaths, and as you're breathing in, breathe in a calming energy that fills your whole body. I find taking some nice deep breaths is very energizing, and as I breathe out, just letting go and relaxing, releasing. Feel your whole body sitting here and breathing, alive. Then you can let the breath find its own natural rhythm. And simply stay connected to this experience of sitting here, breathing. If you find that the mind has wandered off, no problem. Don't take it personally. It's just what minds do. When you realize, then very lovingly bring your attention once again back to this moment, knowing you're sitting here, alive, breathing.
May you have every good blessing. May all the devas protect you. By the power of all the Buddhas, may you ever be well. May you have every good blessing. May all the devas protect you. By the power of all the Dhamma, may you ever be well. May you have every good blessing. May all the devas protect you. By the power of all the Sangha, may you ever be well.